Welcome back as we continue my deep dive into the 2024 NFL draft class. This time looking at the linebacker position. I'm going to give you my top 10 and maybe a couple others at the end of the video. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice beautiful football discourse. I am hoping within this week or early next week to get started on my deep dives for every NFL team going into the 2023 NFL season. So you got that to look forward to. But let's go ahead, get this sucker started with number 10, Omar Speights out of LSU. Though LSU this season, he was actually formerly Oregon, coming in at 6'1", 235. He was a former four-star recruit from the 2019 class, played defensive end and running back in high school. His brother is still a defensive end there at Oregon State. And like I said, he's played like the last 4 seasons at Oregon State with, I would say, yeah, he's been a full-time starter since 2020. Now he goes to LSU after being a first-team All-Pac-12 last year. And he's interesting. He feels like a just solid linebacker because he doesn't really have, I would say, high-end athleticism. I think there's kind of a cap on his ceiling. He won't be someone who can make splash plays in coverage or do so consistently. He really never has during his whole career. And he's more of this minimal gain type of coverage player at linebacker. More so, hey, I'm a pretty sure tackler. So whatever you gain, that's all you're getting on me. There's also sometimes where he's a bit over aggressive in the run game. He'll overrun ball carriers. And I would like to see the missed tackle rate come down a little bit, as at 14.7, not like atrocious. You get to 18 to 20%, then it's kind of bad, but not half bad. Not half bad. Dude's got a sturdy body. He attacks blockers, ball carriers with just bad intentions. Honestly, it's more so his missed tackles are a result of that violent hitting style. And he just comes downhill with the head of steam, and sometimes he whiffs. That just happens to be the case. Takes on blocks pretty darn well. He shows good functional strength, keeps his feet moving through contact, and he'll grind out every rep. Y'all know how much I love guys that just keep their feet moving through contact. It's relevant for almost every position. Plays with a big motor. Has a good feel for zone defense. Will hardly find himself out of position to make a play on, at the very least, the pass catcher. Again, won't see him make plays on the ball too often, too much. But good vision, good route recognition, and I expect good things from him at LSU. I got a 4th round grade on him going into the season. I feel he's in that early day 3 category, at least this early on. That's how I'm feeling. At number 9, I got Oklahoma's Danny Stutsman out. I just said out of Oklahoma. So out of Oklahoma, he's 6'4", 235. Kind of had a banger year this past season where he led the Big 12 in tackles. He's a former 4-star recruit from the 2021 class. Went to Foundation Academy in Winter Garden, Florida. Played linebacker, wide receiver in high school. His father played football and mother played basketball at Baylor. His sister actually won a national championship in softball at Florida State back in 2018. So that's kind of cool. But this dude is so explosive athlete. He can run, he can hit, and he can cover. Plays with a very big motor, sideline to sideline athlete. The moment he hits that trigger on a play, man, he just shows great acceleration and closing speed. Hits with reckless abandon. He'll throw caution to the wind, and he has a decent missed tackle rate doing so, much like Speights. He hovers around that 14.7, 14.9%. And for that style and sheer volume of opportunities he had, that number is actually not too high. Sees the field very well in front of him and will break on plays underneath, and he really did show some splash plays in 2022. He just has an overall great nose for the football. Now, some of the things he's a capable blitzer, but he isn't someone that could free himself from blockers with relative ease. And this is actually, it's not just blitzing. You could actually pair this into the run game as well. Like as a blitzer, he needs to be schemed up as the free man on a blitz. Against the run, he has problems stacking and shedding. His anchor isn't the most desirable in the run game right now. If he kind of emerges, like if he engages in a block, then he's usually in trouble. He's usually out of the play, man. He just doesn't have the ability to evade blockers, and like he doesn't have the ability to break free from blockers, but he, again, very gifted as an athlete that he can at the very least evade blockers. But then at that point, you're kind of getting rerouted on your path to the ball carrier. So he is young. Coming from the 2021 class. Could be a guy we see return, but a lot of athletic traits. A lot of them coming in here. Number 9 on the list, 4th round grade as of right now. Number 8, I have Smael Mondon Jr. out of Georgia. Coming in at 6'3", 220. Yeah, that's right. I hate the size. He looks, in terms of body type, kind of looks very similar to JOK. But former 5-star recruit from the 2021 class. He played everywhere in high school. He played linebacker, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and he had over the course of his career over 1,200 all-purpose yards, 15 total touchdowns. So like this dude was an athlete, legit athlete. Like Colorado recruited him as a running back, but instead he decided to go play linebacker at Georgia. Started 13 games this season while battling an MCL sprain, so good on him. Did result in him missing 2 games. But the dude's just stupid explosive, like flies all over the field. I love the sideline to sideline ability, comes downhill with a head full of steam, plays a very physical style, wanted to take the ball carrier's head off. He's got long, strong arms. He's capable of deconstructing blocks, and those long arms just make him very effective wrapping up the ball carrier. Is very fluid mover out in space, has the oily hips to like be someone very good in man coverage. Just really needs to put more weight on that frame because, like I said, the dude's athletic and he's lengthy, but he is undersized for the position, and he needs it if he's going to hold it up against power, let alone NFL power. He just needs to put more weight on, more bulk, more mass. Because right now, even the run game, his anchor against the run game ain't nothing special. I was watching the Missouri game, and I was just like, oh my gosh, he is getting tossed around. Does have the length and the strength to disengage from blocks, but he needs to do a better job of using those traits to actually free himself once he does engage with blockers. Even then, he doesn't always take the best ankles. Sometimes he'll overrun overrun. That's the best word. Overrun ball carriers, and he just kind of plays at one speed, fast, and it comes to his detriment. It really, really does. I want to see a bit more splash plays and coverage from a guy this long and this athletic, but just looking at the athletic skill set, the length, I have a positive feeling about him. He's kind of that first guy that enters the day 2 conversation for me over the 25, 26 guys I looked at to prepare for this video. All right, going to number 7, I got the junior Colson out of Michigan, and he's probably the one of the prospects I'm the most excited to talk about today because he's got a very interesting backstory. But he's 6'2", 235. He was a former 4-star recruit from the 2021 class out of Ravenwood High School in Brentwood, Tennessee. Now, going back to some of his past, because he's not originally from America, he's actually from, I believe it was Haiti. When he was 7, his father died, and he was placed in an orphanage that was owned, or at least operated, by his uncle. At the age of 8, he met Americans Steve and Melanie Colson. on their visit to Haiti on kind of a church mission. This was during the I think it was like prior to, or not prior, but after the earthquake. So they were there to help in the aftermath, and he was adopted by the Colsons and taken to America, man. Like moved to Tennessee at the age of 9 in 2012, and didn't start really playing football till high school, and played linebacker in high school. But this is the kicker, man. He also returned kicks. He has a kick return tutty from high school. That's kind of nuts. But did start 7 games his freshman season, but this year was kind of like his first full year as a starter. Made second team all Big 12, 6'2", 235. Unbelievable athlete. Very unbelievable. Just incredible. He made Bruce Feldman's Freaks list last season. He's just rangy. He plays with really good quicks, especially before initiating contact. Just the dude just moves like a safety. Hold on here. Just found a typo in thy notes. Had to correct it. Anyway, he works with really good pop when initiating contact with ball carriers, has a really nice punch. He attacks with violent hands to work himself back into the play, and he just hits with power, and he's just a very good finisher. 6.6 missed tackle rate this past season, and even when he isn't first to the play, he's someone who's capable of moving the pile back to limit yards after contact. He's just a very, very dangerous player. He's a dangerous free pass rusher and displayed a very, very terrifying closing speed. Like looking at his win rate, his true pass set win rate, 36.4%. Freaking nuts. I will say though, overall his coverage awareness just needs to get a lot better. He just doesn't have it right now. I imagine it'll look a lot better in year 2 there as a full-time starter for Michigan. Just doesn't have that quick trigger, and he's more so reacting only when the ball is already in the air. It's you can kind of tell that honestly without even really watching the film. 93.9% completion rate allowed in 2022. Dude has speed to make some splash plays in coverage though, and he just needs to become more proactive than reactive. He is a bit of a dive and drag type of tackler. That's a bit of his style, which I imagine would lead to a higher missed tackle rate in the NFL. So he does need to polish up on his technique, but a guy with an extremely interesting backstory and just an incredible athlete. I'm drawn to athletes. What can I say? Okay, number 6. Talked about him last year. Jestin Jacobs out of Oregon. He made my top 10 last year, and unfortunately injury kind of screwed him. So former 4-star recruit at the 2019 class, initially decided to go to Iowa where he redshirted his freshman season, played in 5 games with 1 start in the shortened season, and then he played in every game in 2021 for Iowa with 8 starts. That was kind of his breakout year. So this coming season, I was like, okay, man, this dude's going to come out and he's going to annihilate. That's not what happened. He suffered a soft tissue injury in his leg and missed the next 2 games after the season opener, and played in week 4 versus Rutgers, but the injury just got worse, so eventually he just went ahead and got surgery, missing the rest of the season, decided to transfer at the end of the year to Oregon, and I think that's a great fit, man. I think this cat's going to come out, and I think he's going to have, in terms of his stock rising, I think it might be similar to Channing Tyndall. It's kind of where I believe we'll see it go, but great combination of length and athleticism. It's exactly what the NFL wants to do at the linebacker position. He's fast. He plays fast. He has range to be a playmaker in coverage and against the run. He's long enough to get off blocks fairly easy. Great closing speed. He can make tackles in space. 7.8% missed tackle rate in 2021. Remember, I'm referencing 2021 because he played like a game and a half in 2022. So dude's just fierce coming downhill, and he's got both the speed, the size, the strength to just be a force, a nuisance behind the line of scrimmage. As a pass rusher, he's very twitched up. He shows good bend and is able to get good leverage on tackles. He has the ability to be an extra rusher and should do well under Dan Lannon there at Oregon. However, he only has 1 year of starting experience because of the injury, and he's still kind of developing that feel for the game. He played an overhang role, like an overhang linebacker, overhang safety for Iowa. He was playing in the slot a lot. That's basically what it means there. And he's looking to play more of a traditional linebacker role this season, but he can be late to diagnose plays. And it's just something that, from what I read, Oregon's coaching staff's very aware of. And they're just like, this is an extremely talented player. If we could get the game to slow down for him, then it's just going to be game over, man. So that was something they were openly talking about working over the spring practices. Now, is still kind of filling out his frame. He is a bit lanky, but at 6'4", 238, I mean, he is that's good size. Like, in all honesty, like, as long as you're not like sub 230, even then we've seen linebackers be able to play around like the 225 range. But then that's it's kind of like you're betting on the exception, some of these guys. But I'm very excited to see Justin Jacobs this season. I was a big fan of him going into last year. Number 5 on the list here is Tommy Eichenberg out of Ohio State. Thought he was actually going to come out last year, so I already kind of like evaluated him for the 2023 draft. But 6'2", 239. He was a captain last year. Participated in track and field back in high school. Used to be a shot putter, so that's kind of cool. And if you're wondering, yes, this is the younger brother of Miami Dolphins great Liam Eichenberg. Not a big fan of Liam, but big fan of Tommy here. So really, last year was his first full year of starting experience, and it resulted in him being a first team all Big Ten. Like I said, man, I was shocked when he decided to return, but here he is. He will be probably about 23 by the time he takes his first NFL snap, but that's not all bad. But dude's a very aggressive downhill player, plays with plus physicality and athleticism, very desirable length, plays with good balance, very aggressive coming downhill, plays with a quick trigger. So he just often he sniffs out running plays before they can really even get started. Possesses strong hands, good length. I like the hit-in power. He takes on contact very well. He's able to deconstruct the block. Very dynamic blitzer at times as well, as he had 23 pressures and 4 sacks on 79 pass rushing snaps in 2022. Man, he really shows you some legit closing speed. And again, a sideline to sideline athlete, takes great angles outside of the hashes, but he is kind of protected by Ohio State's coverage scheme. That coverage scheme really doesn't put their linebackers in bad spots. It really just doesn't. And I mean, he's got the athleticism and the length, so it's like I don't think I'm too worried about it, but you got to bring up his coverage responsibilities at Columbus have kind of been minimal. And the dude does play in a hurry and will sometimes incorrectly locate where the ball is or is going to be. But like overall, man, he had the breakout year last year, 120 tackles. Phenomenal. Another good year. Should find himself in the day 2 conversation. I just don't think I don't know if he'd be a day 1. I mean, if so, we're talking maybe late, but man, I could see him being a guy that blows people away in interviews. Number 4, Cedric Gray out of North Carolina, another guy who happened to be a captain for his team this past season. 6'2", 235 from the 2020 high school recruiting class. There we go. Also played basketball in high school. Also played receiver there at Andre Kell High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. So mainly was a special teamer in 2020, and then in 2021 he started the final 11 games and led the team in tackles. He was actually tied for 4th in the ACC this season. Started all 14 games. Was first team all ACC, almost basically 150 tackles this past year. This dude just moves so well, man. He really does. Like, he can keep up with tight ends downfield. He reads and reacts fairly quickly, shows good change of direction. I mean, you could just go back to, I think another guy that I kind of checked out prior to this season because I thought he might declare in last year's draft. But, like, you go to, like, NC State 2021 game, there's this play where he was breaking with the tight end up the seam, but saw the swing to the running back relatively early. He was able to turn, plant, burst downhill, and make a play in the backfield. Just freaking kind of wild, man. Like, he's got very, very little bad weight on his frame and just maneuvers the line of scrimmage exceptionally well. Keeps himself relatively clean from contact when pursuing ball carriers. Plays much bigger than his size. So again, 235, not a bad weight. Pursuit speed is top notch. He's shown a good nose for the football, as we can see. 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups, even four fumbles. That's kind of nutty right there. Dude's usually first to the ball carrier. Hands are very violent on contact. He knows how to keep his pads clean, and he takes just great angles on ball carriers. I would say a bit undersized, but it's not terribly. Again, 6'2", 235. That's kind of like, that would actually be big compared to last year's class, the 2023 class. So not terribly undersized, just kind of like less than ideal. But man, sometimes it does result in missed tackles with him. So something to look on. I do question how he will handle physicality around the line of scrimmage against more powerful passing targets. So like tight ends and just bigger receivers, maybe big slot receivers. When it comes to the NFL, like, he often chose to stand in the, like, if you look at how he maneuvers the line of scrimmage as well, like, he would often choose to stand in the gap rather than shoot it. So I'm kind of curious if that's like, for him, it's like doesn't want to get physical, or I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't think there's not a lot of hesitancy to his game. So part of that could also be what he's being asked to do for the Tar Heels there. So, all in all, man, I got him and Eichenberg are basically neck and neck for me. But these next 3 guys for me, I think, have that first round pedigree. And we're going to start with, this shocked me. Number 3 is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. for me. I went into this thinking he was going to be my number 1, easy breezy, unanimously. Happened to not be the case. To be fair, I think these next 3 prospects are all relatively close to one another. And if anything, Jeremiah Trotter, he is definitely the better all-around player. Like, if you wanted me to bet money on these next 3, my top 3 linebackers, who pans out in the NFL, I think Trotter has the safest chances there. Now, if you didn't know, yes, his father is Jeremiah Trotter, former All-Pro linebacker from the Philadelphia Eagles and some other teams. If you go back to his high school, he missed a year with a broken arm. Again, kind of something to point out. Not worried about this guy, injury red flags or whatever. He started every game last season, made second team All-American, so we're talking the country there. And he just got a natural feel for the position. He really does. He knows how to get around blocks with either his hands or his athleticism, sheds blocks, and does a good job of locating the ball. He's a very sure tackler, has a sturdy frame. He plays much bigger than his size because, I mean, he's 6 foot 230. You're with that height, you are below the average there. So, I mean, the dude, to be fair, like, that's good low center of gravity because that makes him a little more girthy, and he does have a sturdy frame. He really does. Love the closing speed. I think he finishes plays consistently on the field, plays well out in space, sees things exceptionally well out in front of him. He just clicks and closes very, very quickly, and he made a ton of splash plays in coverage. As you can see, 3 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, one of that being a pick 6 against, I believe it was Syracuse. Very dangerous as a pass rusher. If you look at his true pass rush win rate, 31.8%, so pretty darn good. However, you will see him kind of bite on misdirection, motion, play action. He does bite, so he is a bit jumpy when it comes to stuff like that. He just kind of gets sucked in, leaves open the middle of the field, and that's going to be a nightmare in the NFL. That's something that just consistently happens. You don't want to leave the middle open for the better passers in the NFL. I would say sometimes he isn't up to task in man coverage versus secondary targets such as running backs and tight ends. He is a bit smaller than you'd like, and sometimes does get pushed back at the point of attack. However, he is young. I do believe he could put on more bulk. I don't know how better that 6 foot size is going to get though. So got him as a first round grade. At number 2, I actually have his teammate Barrett Carter out of Clemson coming in at actually 5 pounds smaller, 6'1", 225 than Jeremiah Trotter. He was a 5-star recruit from the 2021 class, so another young gun we're talking about here. Initially, he was recruited as a safety, and you'd be like, no kidding, he was recruited as a safety. Clemson, they got a habit of doing that, recruiting these safeties to make them kind of like linebackers, playing them in like overhang slot roles. He played in 13 games this season, did miss a game with a concussion, but ended up being first team all ACC. And the dude's just a ridiculous athlete. Like straight up nutty explosiveness, quick trigger, scary closing speed. He has a variety of different ways to defeat blocks as a pass rusher. As you can see, 27 pressures, 5 sacks, and that was on 100 pass rushing snaps in 2022. Very good pursuit speed. Also brings that speed to coverage as, again, played the overhang safety role. He had over 330 snaps in the slot last season. The dude does have a great feel for coverage, made many splash plays, 5 pass breakups, 2 interceptions last season, and he just brings that versatility and that big range. That's exactly what the NFL wants today. He's just a freaky athlete with a long frame who needs to really polish areas of his game, but the dude is a legit playmaker from the linebacker position. However, he is undersized. He is more of a dive and drag tackler, and it's just an unreliable tackling style. I know he only had about 13% missed tackle rate, but you got to imagine that gets much higher when he goes to the NFL. Does get quick, does get upfield quickly though, but he'll sometimes lose track of ball carriers in traffic and won't play his gap discipline enough. So there's that, but last year was his first year as a full-time starter. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, to like about him. But you might be like, who's number 1? Who? Well, it's this man. It is Jamon Dumas-Johnson out of Georgia. 6'1", 245. I got him as a top 20. I think he has all the makings to be the top linebacker prospect in this class. He does have a red flag. I got a little red flag here that could be a concern. He, on January 10th this past season, so a few days after the national championship game, he was arrested on misdemeanor charges of street racing and reckless driving. Now, those charges since then have been settled, but kind of a concerning thing after, you had, Jalen Carter, who was involved, or at least in one of the cars, or driving one of the cars, that was involved in that wreck that cost their teammate's life. So it's like, okay, man, just don't be a knucklehead. If I'm going to be honest, that's probably one of my biggest qualms with him. Really. I mean, this was 5 days after losing a teammate. How you going to be doing that? How are you going to do that? Like, it's something worth monitoring at this point. You just want to monitor it. You really do. I don't even recall how many Like I think Georgia last year had like an alarming number of reckless driving charges, but needless to say, if that's something that you can just put in his past, not be a problem. I'm telling you, we're talking about I think a top 20 prospect. Like this dude has so much speed at 245. He flies around the field, sideline to sideline athlete in both the run and the pass game. Has a natural nose for the football and has made plays all over the freaking place. He sees the field well and does a good job of setting the defense pre-snap. That was his responsibility last year after Nakobe. He basically jumped into the Nakobe Dean role. So I mean, we're looking at Dumas, who's a guy that didn't have the injury concerns or the size concerns of Nakobe Dean. I don't think a lot of people would argue Nakobe Dean, if not for those, probably be easily a first rounder. That's kind of why we saw him drop. But he came in, stepped up in that role, and I thought he did a phenomenal job of that. He plays very physical style. He's built for it. Dude throws his body around, just a natural born leader. Again, I just don't want to just get an Uber or just drive responsibly. I don't know, man. He is aggressive and a physical tackler, but it did result in a lot of missed tackles. He was close to that 18% at 16.9. So let's see if he can get better at that this season. Does need to trust his eyes more in coverage. And I would say right now his click and close, like this dude's click and close ability, he should be making more splash plays in coverage rather than like right now he feels like a more of a minimal gain guy. But I think he can be that, like this is a dude that's made plays all over the place if he could put it all together in terms of what he's seeing in coverage and trust his eyes. I think we could see this dude actually make a lot of plays on the football. But yeah, here he is. Got a top 20. He's my number 1 linebacker heading into the season. But that's it for the video. I want to mention a couple of guys that unfortunately just missed out on the top 10. We got Jason Henderson out of Old Dominion. I was kind of hyped. I was kind of excited. I think last year he actually led all of college football in tackles. And the dude's a little undersized, but he is a nutty athlete. You got Jalen Ford out of Texas, who I thought put some impressive tape out there. The other guy that I was really sad that didn't make the list, but it's kind of understandable. I guess I'll kind of get into him here. Is Muma Not John Meta out of Wisconsin. And the thing is with him, he is more so an early down linebacker. Like he does not have the chops for coverage, at least right now. He was just really a spot dropper, and you saw a lot get behind him last season. But this dude's phenomenal around the line of scrimmage. He really, really, really is. Very physical player, but those guys just missed the list. Let me know who are some guys you think maybe should have been on the list or that you got your eye on going into this season. Like I said, I watched about 26 players before putting out this ranking. And I will have those rankings, full big board, full evals available for y'all at the end of the summer here with my draft guide. So until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.